Hello and welcome to Life Experiences with T.L. Jones. Today we are in the month of March, and it's our Independence Month. Ghana, our motherland, gained its independence on the 6th of March 1957. What transpired before 1957? I wasn't there, I wouldn't know. 2022, how is Ghana? Today we have a very special guest who's going to tell us a little bit about Ghana before 1957 and how he sees Ghana today and the future. So, Mr. Victor Noonoo, welcome to Life Experiences. It's such an honor to have you here with us. Honestly, we are so grateful.
Thank you very much. I don't know about the honor, but I'm just an ordinary, simple man who has lived a bit longer. I was born in Apam, a coastal town in the central region. I started school there, the Methodist.
Okay.
Because I was born into a Methodist family.
That's correct, yes. It's Apam Secondary School, it's a Methodist school, which I attended.
So I attended Apam Methodist School up to the age of 10.
Okay.
When my uncle in secondary called me over.
Okay.
He had been transferred to work for the Kingsway stores, which is a United Africa company.
That's correct, yeah.
So, as a young man, he wanted someone with him. So, at the age of 10, in 1951, I was sent to secondary.
So, for those people, sorry to cut, for people who didn't know about Kingsway shops, can you explain a little bit about Kingsway shop?
Kingsway shop, I will come to it later.
Okay, thank you.
Because before I went to secondary, I had started school from Methodist school.
Yes.
At the age of about 7, then an uncle of mine, my mother's brother, who was at Achimota Trading College, he had finished in Fansipin, and he was doing a teacher training in Accra, Achimota. He was the one, incidentally, who introduced Nkrumah to my young mind at the age of 7.
Amazing.
Whenever he came on holidays, he would hold me by the hand, and they would be going from house to house, talking to the ladies there. It's a very handsome man. I didn't know why he always wanted to hold my hand to go and visit these ladies. And whenever he went, he was talking about Mr. Nkrumah, who had just come from Europe or overseas and wanted to free Ghana from the white man. And it became such an interesting story. The uncle, if I mention his name, I think a lot of Ghanaians will know one of his children. It's called GYE Bruce Kwanzaa. Now, his son, Bruce Kwanzaa, used to write for the Palava in Ghana, a journalist. And he was always getting into trouble. That is why I think a lot of people would know, will connect with
the name
my uncle. So he spoke so much about this wonderful Kwame Nkrumah that he became my hero. It's like some kid watching Superman.
So exactly, I was going to say that, yes.
And so Kwame Nkrumah did this, Kwame Nkrumah did that. And at a time in Apam, you could see all the building, mud houses, mud.
Wow.
SG now, I never understood it. But it was all because of Nkrumah. He had come and he wanted self-government now.
Right. So that was what SG was for.
That was
self-government.
SG, yeah. So by 1950, my cousin got an appointment with the Kingsway stores.
Right.
And he was in Accra, Kingsway stores, quite near James Ford.
Okay.
And he had been transferred to Sekendi.
Okay.
So my father decided that I should go with him. So I went with him.
Right.
Because he was much older than me, even though he was my cousin, I called him uncle till he passed on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I got to Sekendi, then the Kwame Nkrumah thing became even worse. Because the whole family, I said I was born into a Methodist family in Japan. My paternal grandfather and his house on 5th Street, Sekendi, he was a Methodist too. Wow. And on top of it, he was an Nkrumah man.
Oh, wow. The whole family.
So the whole house.
Wow.
Was the Nkrumah house. So I fell into this. I was only 10 years old when I saw Kwame Nkrumah.
Face to face.
First
time.
He had been released from prison.
Okay.
With Sikado him, Nana Kobran Katia.
Okay.
So after the release, they were coming to Sekendi.
Right.
The two of them were coming together to meet the Sekendi folk. It was on a Sunday morning, and by my 10-year-old imagination, I don't think there was a church
on that day.
On that day, Sunday.
Wow.
Because you could see that almost everyone was at Isikade Park.
Wow.
And I saw Kwame Nkrumah waving, I mean, I've seen my Superman.
The Superman, that's your hero, that's it.
So that would have been enough for me. But he kept coming to Sekendi. Now, at this time, the Ghana Broadcasting System got all the programs relayed from BBC overseas. So I'd never seen radio before. Okay. When I went to Sekendi, I'd never seen radio. Then one day I saw this box on the wall with people singing, I actually believed that there were human beings inside the box. You see. So, with this, I began mimicking the BBC announcers and all that, In the end, I ended up at Radio Ghana when I left school. So, I was in Sekendi till 1956.
So if I get it right, when you left Apantu Sekendi to join your uncle's cousin, you carried on with your education?
Oh yes, I carried on at Sekendi Methodist School. Okay. At that time, we were opposite the Rex Cinema. Okay. The Rex Cinema was a club, and it was called Optimism Club. Okay. But everyone who sent you to that place would say, hey, when you get to Optimism,
they couldn't pronounce the word properly.
When you get to Optimism, do this, do that for me. Right. So I believed that the place was called Optimism until I got a bit more educated
Yes.
to be able to read, to see that it was actually optimism. Optimism.
That was such a big word though, wasn't it?
And that's where we were before we were sent over to Katan, also in Sekindi. It's a suburb of Sekindi.
Right.
Yeah. So it was from Sekindi that I sat for a common entrance examination.
Okay.
And went to Apam Secondary School.
So you went back to your roots.
But my father wouldn't let me.
Oh, why?
He said they had no water, no electricity.
So water is still a problem in Apam even now.
So you can't go to Apam.
Wow.
So I ended up in his friend's school,
which is
at Kokomlemle in Accra.
Where's Accra?
St. John's Grammar School.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's where it was. The area was all Nkrumahist ministers around. You pass one building, that's K. Bedema's house. You go to another Koyobochio.
Yes.
Over there is in Kumsa. Welbeck stays here. Krobodisa is at the back there.
You were all in the same neighborhood.
It was later that I realized that it was because Nkrumah used to live in Accra, New Town.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it seems that all his ministers were more or less shielding.
That's right, yeah.
So I go to Accra, 56. By 1957, I was in St. John's.
Okay.
And then the third, before the month of independence, Accra was the most exciting place.
Oh, wow. Why do you say that? Was it the nightlife?
The bantings, the lights, the street lights, the music. Everybody was expecting something special.
Yes. Something they've been fighting hard for many years, I guess.
Everybody was expecting. Those of us who were boarding school students, on Independence Day, that night, Nkrumah gave the great speech.
Yes.
We jumped over the wall and went to Polo.
Wow.
But nobody caught us because the housemasters,
they were there themselves. Wow.
So
interesting.
That all these things happening, we were young. I was very young, about 15 years old.
Right.
So we were just enjoying it.
Okay.
We didn't really understand the
what
responsibilities.
That's correct. Yes.
But one thing I could say was that every Ghanaian was proud to be a Ghanaian.
Wow. So let's talk about the name Ghana.
Yes.
Because like you said, it used to be called the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So why Ghana?
Some historians have put it down as coming from Dr. J.B. Danko.
Okay. Who was with Dr. Nkrumah?
Yes, when they were in the UGCC,
right.
United Gold Coast Convention.
Right.
It was there that because of mistrust, Kwame Nkrumah went his separate way and founded the CPP in July 1949.
Okay. Right.
I'm not accurate on the date, but he formed the CPP because he had mobilized the youth wing of the UGCC
right.
As committee of youth organization.
Okay.
They were called CYO.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had mobilized them as the youth wing of the UGCC.
Mm-hmm.
And it was these young people who told Nkrumah to break away.
Okay.
You know, Nkrumah himself was dilly-dally.
Right, wasn't quite sure whether to leave.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, but the youth were saying, break away and form your own party.
Why do you think the youth came up with that idea?
Because they saw that the UGCC, they were all professionals.
Okay.
They were lawyers.
Right, yeah.
3 of them came from the eastern region.
Okay.
And 2 came from Accra.
Right.
The 3 were J.B. Dankwa, Akufo-Addo, William Ufurata.
So, yes.
You know, I think more or less they were related. And then the 2, Obeche Bilamti and Akwaje.
Yes.
In fact, it was Akwaje who recommended Kwame Nkrumah to the UGCC.
Right. Okay.
Because in 1945, the Pan-African Congress had been held in Manchester.
That's correct. Yes.
And Kwame Nkrumah was its secretary. Incidentally, Nkrumah's secretary was Kujobo Chiu.
Interested.
Wow. His secretary for that was Kujobo Chiu.
Yes.
So it was Akwaje who attended that meeting also while he was in England.
Yes, because I know there was a few from America that joined that conference as well.
Yeah, there were a few from America. And not only that, Nkrumah went to France to meet the French students, like Modibo Keita, Sekuturi,
that's right.
Senghor.
Later became leaders of some of the Francophone countries.
They were all students in France.
Okay.
But later on, Nkrumah would say that he didn't think they believed in the independence thing that much.
Okay.
In fact, most of them, like Ufo Boigny, they thought they were French.
That's true. Yeah.
You know. But Jomo Kenyatta was there, you know, with quite a lot of men who became African leaders.
Yes.
You see. So it was when Akwaje came back to the Gold Coast that he told the UGCC men that, hey, I went to
powerful man.
I went to Manchester conference. And there's a guy there, Kwame Nkrumah. That guy is fantastic.
Yes.
Let's get him here.
Wow.
So they go to Nkrumah. And Nkrumah himself, again, I had to ask his friends over there, do you think it's right for me to go?
Because he himself was a student here, wasn't he?
He was coming to LSE.
London School of Economics.
Yes, London School of Economics. He was coming there. So when he was called, he thought, should I finish my studies or go? And some friends said, go there. We want African unity. And we want the independence of Africa. You go. And maybe you will start something there. And besides that, the UGCC had written to him, they will give him a car, they will give him a house, they will do this.
Lots of incentives.
So Nkrumah came,
Okay.
and all these things didn't materialize.
Oh, right.
You know.
Okay.
And that brings you to the 1948 riots in Ghana.
Okay.
The Nkrumah people, with the young people, were seeing that, they saw that the UGCC was dragging its feet.
Right.
So why don't we break up and fight the independence thing?
So do you think the UCGC felt quite content with where they were and probably didn't want to rock the boat that much, which was why the youth felt like they had to break away?
Well, if you ask me, and you are asking me, so I will tell you that they were all professionals. They were lawyers. You know, all of them. Their idea of independence was going to be them taking over from the whites.
Okay.
So the ordinary people, they don't come in.
Got you. Yeah.
You know, but Nkrumah, the moment he was sent, he came back to Accra, had begun organizing the party. They had, I think, only 3 offices in the whole of the Gold Coast.
Right.
One was in Sekendi, Takrady, the other was in Sopon, and then the third, Accra, you know. But within a year of Nkrumah stepping ashore, almost every town and village knew what UGCC was.
Amazing.
That's how he organized the party. And that's how the youth took to him.
Got you, yes.
The UGCC then became very, very, very angry with the whole thing, you know. I mean, we call you here.
And you've come and taken over.
No, okay. You're the secretary. Now we're taking the secretaryship from you.
Right, okay.
And you will become the treasurer.
Okay.
You know, in other words, they were clipping his wings. You know, he also knew that the job he wanted to do hasn't even started.
Right.
You know, so he was also trying to stay for a bit to see. But the young people said, quit now.
Wow.
And Kwame Nkrumah had to quit.
Okay.
So, 1949, when I was seeing SG Now, even APAM, look at that, APAM was, and every house, SG Now, you see. So this is what broke this association with the UGCC.
Right.
But you asked me about the name Ghana. People say Dr. Dankwa had said it, but Dr. Dankwa was a historian. Okay, if that is so, Nkrumah was the first person to use the name Ghana. Because during the 48 riots, which brought about the death of Sergeant Agiti and many ex-servicemen and all that, you know, some students in Cape Coast, I mean, all our schools were in Cape Coast.
That's true.
They supported the riots. In other words, they supported the action that took place. That was to boycott all European goods and all that. But that one too was spearheaded by a Ga chief called B. Kwabnaboni.
Oh, that's an interesting name.
Kwabnaboni. Yes, of Osu.
Right.
He was Osu Manche.
Okay.
He was the one who told all the market women and everybody.
Was that because he was also fed up with the colonization of the Gold Coast and they wanted that self-governance? Is that why?
Well, maybe part of it. But the fact that people were going to, the ex-servicemen were going to protest.
Right.
And then when they got to 28 February Road, someone took up a gun and shot them.
Oh, wow.
You know, that angered a whole lot of...
Were the ex-servicemen not being supported properly?
No, the ex-servicemen had been to war.
Okay.
During the Second World
War, yes.
They were fighting in Burma. They went as far as India, everywhere. They were there, you know. And they thought when they came home, there would be something better for them to do.
Okay.
Because those who came to England, the British government, they started a massive housing development.
Okay.
But our people went home, and there was nothing for them.
Yes. Yeah.
They had sat about for so long.
Okay.
I mean, the war ended in 1945.
That's true, yeah.
By 1948, when the riot started, they were nothing.
Okay, that makes sense. Because in the UK, by the end of the war, there was the education system that encourages the masses to go to school, the different education systems that was introduced. Then you had the welfare state. So the government introduced a welfare system to help people in the UK.
Yes.
So one would assume that obviously if you were encouraged to go to war and you return, there will be some rewards.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is what did not happen for our servicemen when they returned to Ghana.
Yes, it didn't happen because the irony is that it was Winston Churchill who led the war.
Right.
And won. But in 1945, when they had the election, the Labour Party had a landslide.
That's right, yes.
So the Winston Churchill heroism had dissipated. It was gone, you know. And it was the Labour Party that brought up all the welfare.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. So Ghana or the Gold Coast
I've been forgotten. Suddenly.
Yeah. And I think 3 of my uncles fought in Burma.
Okay. Wow. And they all returned?
They all returned. In fact, the last one among them died at the age of 96. About 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
You know.
Interesting.
And they had nothing. So this is what brought about the riots.
The riots, right. So it's a combination of many things then.
So students took part, a lot of students.
Yes.
And some of them had to sit for their final examination, secondary schools, Fantipan boys and all that, you know. So it was at this time.
Right, so you are watching Life Experiences with T.L. Jones. We are still gathering all this information, enjoying the conversation that Mr. Noonoo is having with us. Please bear with us as we soak ourselves in this lovely history. Mr. Noonoo, we have spoken quite at length. I really want us to get to know a bit more about you as well. I know you don't like to talk about yourself, but like you said when we first started, you thank God for giving you the life that you have lived up till this time. And like you rightly said, you thank God that you are now living the life and realizing that some of the things that you might have heard leaders like Nkrumah say, you are actually seeing some of these things happening. So I'm going to take you back to when you were in secondary, and then with your cousin, uncle, and then you finished your education there. You came to St. John's. At what point did you actually decided to travel? And even before traveling, you said you had joined the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation as well. So tell me a little bit about that and how that brought you into the West.
When I was about 15 years old, my uncles and cousins, and I said I was brought up in a CPP home.
Yes.
All I could hear was that Kwame Nkrumah, this man, is about 50 years ahead of his time.
Wow.
That was when I was 15. Now, by the grace of God, I've lived through those 50 years and have actually seen, believing also, that Kwame Nkrumah was not only 50 years ahead of his time, but even 100 years.
Wow. Wow. Why do you say that?
Some of the projects he put in place have become even more essential today than the time they were. Take Tema motorway. Everyone during the coup, he was severely criticized for it.
For building that motorway?
For building that motorway.
Interesting. Wow.
They called it Prestige Project.
Okay.
And the Parliament House, where parliamentarians have their offices and they called it Job 600.
Okay.
And that one was one of the prestige projects.
Interesting.
Wow. Factories and institutions he built because people didn't understand them.
Right.
They sought it to go waste.
Right. Because I hear that even some of the projects are still being left derelict and nothing is being done about it.
That's right. Look, I went to the opening of Kade March Factory.
Okay.
I was covering that for Radio Ghana.
Right.
And by the time I left Ghana in 1964 to go to Russia, they were selling Ghana matches.
Wow. So Ghana was able to manufacture its own matches.
Not only that, there were so many factories, so many. You see, the thing that really propelled all these industries was the Akoso model, generating power.
Yes, and it was generating power for other African countries.
Yes, at the time, because at the time I was leaving, the population of Ghana was 5 million.
Wow.
And this man had the foresight that the country would grow. So he wanted a big hydroelectric power.
Yes.
1957, when I was in Accra, I had started the secondary school there. We had an excursion to Tema.
Okay.
I'd never seen a beautiful sight in my life.
Wow.
They had just finished Community 1 of Tema.
Wow.
I'd never seen a town with roads.
Wow.
Painted
land, laid out lovely.
It was beautiful.
And these were for the workers that was going to be working at the factories.
That's right.
Tema. Yeah.
And even the ministries, which is in Accra, it was springing up.
Yeah.
Some ministries had been built.
Okay.
Because
so within a very short space of time, would you say Kwame Nkrumah was able to do quite a lot, develop Ghana?
He did a lot. He did a lot. Wow. Through that, we even had free education.
Was that free education for everyone, or was it for people in the north? Because there's been a lot of tension around free education.
People always say free education in the north.
Okay.
But free education in the south too.
Okay.
Because I was in Apam Secondary School my last year. You see, I'd left St. John's to go back to Apam.
Right.
When free education came.
Okay.
That was my last year.
Right.
But that was for day students.
Okay.
You see, people are saying free education, this stuff, simply because of getting feeding and all that.
Okay.
But it was like Britain's schools.
Yes.
We all live in the house.
And then you go for education. If you want to stay on the school campuses, then you have to pay for your feeding and accommodation.
So I benefited a little bit. In fact, the school uniform.
Was that free as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And books.
Interesting. Wow. So we'll really come back to that education and free education in Ghana now. We'll try and do some compare and contrast there.
You see, and I'm talking about 1960s.
Okay.
Yeah. You see, because it was my last 2 years that I spent in Apam.
Okay.
You see.
So was that in sixth form or was that in...
No, that was in Form 5.
Form 5 GCE.
My father didn't think I was doing well at St. John's.
You were enjoying the life in Accra too much.
No, because St. John's was a big school.
Okay.
A private school.
Right.
And Form 2, when I joined, we had A, B, C, D, E, F.
Classes?
Yes,
wow.
And every class over 40 students.
You see, yes.
And it was a boarding school.
Wow, that's big.
So that was purely a commercial school.
So you went to Apam Secondary to complete.
Because St. John's became a sort of clearinghouse.
Okay.
Those who didn't do well in the
common entrance
examination, they would come there.
Okay.
Yeah. My father thought my results were no good.
So you went to St. John's?
So they took me back to
Apam, right. Okay.
Apam Secondary.
So what subjects did you do there? I'm just trying to figure out how, your secondary education and the subjects that you studied got you into your profession as a broadcaster.
Well, I wasn't a good student. I did English.
Okay.
I was very good at English. Very good at English literature.
Okay.
Fantastic history. Geography.
Wow.
I didn't even take maths.
Oh.
I was the first student of Apam Secondary School who didn't do maths.
Was that not a compulsory subject then?
It was a compulsory subject.
Okay. Wow.
But in the end, we managed to put in a subject to satisfy that column.
Interesting. Wow.
I won't tell you my grades. But eventually, when I left Apam Secondary School, I think I was about 20 years old.
Okay.
And I've told you about me seeing a box
the
of
radio, yes, the gramophone.
Yeah. So that was all the work I wanted to do in broadcasting.
Wow, interesting.
And I had heard the BBC World Service, everything. So I was in second D. I don't know what I was doing there on holidays.
Yeah.
Then somebody told me that my stepmother wanted me in Accra.
Okay.
So I came down and we said, we've sent your application to broadcasting.
Oh, wow.
And they want you for an interview.
Wow.
So I went there and I was interviewed.
Right.
And I was told to start work a few days later.
Just like that.
In the admin section.
Okay. Right.
But that's not what I wanted.
Okay. So, obviously, a young boy, having seen this box on the wall, thinking there were some human beings in that box making, all these sounds, and then having finished your secondary education, got a job interview with the National Broadcasting Corporation,
That's right.
Hoping you were going to be reading the news or doing something so your voice can be heard on the radio, and then you've been asked to work in the admin. So we're going to pause right there so we can have a short break, and then we would like to hear about how you managed to move from the admin into the other side of where you actually wanted to be. We shall be back shortly. Thank you.